tuning in Crypto Street Podcast. This is Dale of Crypto now, not formerly known as Crypto Dale.
An imposter.
It sounds so wrong.
Imposter.
Yeah, I don't like it. Let's go with the
You know,
original.
and I like how everyone's always like, this is the fake Dale. Like,
ETH scamming Dale.
yeah. Who was it that said that? That was pretty damn funny.
I think it was Chardy or something when you're trying to get in touch with Loops and you're trying to tell him, like, this is my new account. And everyone's like, no, it's a scammer.
Yeah, Chardy was like, because Loops goes, is this the real Dale?
Yeah.
Yes, it is me. Or at least, is it? If Twitter is out there listening, it is my twin brother. So thanks for tuning in tonight. We found that doing the live thing is a little easier. So if you're wondering why we always last minute go YouTube live, it's why. So as always, I am joined with one of my homies and one of my enemies. So let's start with homies. Killer, what's up?
Hey, buddy, how you doing? Who's this
kidding.
enemy?
I'm just kidding with Prince. Prince is a homeboy too, but I've just been in such a shitty mood lately. Like I'm just not myself. Like I get on Twitter and read something, I just get pissed off and get right back off.
Then you try talking to me and I say something stupid, dude, and you just get right back off.
Furthers my fucking pissy mood.
I wonder if it's something in the air because I've been in a foul mood as well lately. Just like this whole week.
It's called portfolio losing value.
It's just
it's a classic.
I guess that's the cause.
Yep.
But if you think about it, there was like a two-month span where I just was on top of the world. So I suppose, but I would
come back to reality.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I'd much rather have a 2-month of back to reality check than fucking 8 months. But hey, you know what? It's market. You can still make money in a bear market. Prince, how you doing? Good. That's great to hear.
Not bad. Yeah, this cat just walked in here, so you might hear some loud meowing. Yeah.
So, talking about making money in a bear market, we have got on the man, the myth, the legend. He's been in about every damn market you can think of. We're gonna hear more from him. Danny Less is his name, and his Twitter handle is @DannyLess3. So, Danny, what's up, my good man? Thanks for staying up late, joining us.
Hello, fellas. How's it going? My pleasure. I was very keen to do this, Dale. So when you approached me, I was like, "Yep, I'm going to do it. And it doesn't matter the time, we're doing it." And here I am.
It's funny because I didn't look at your location on your Twitter, and we were talking, and you're like, "What time do you normally when do these go down?" And I'm like, "Well, we normally record at 9 Central Time PM," and you're like, I was like, "Is that gonna work for you?" And you're like, "Yeah, that'll work. It's 3 a.m., but yeah, let's do it." And I'm like, "Holy shit, man, we can do it some other time." But no, it's been pretty cool. You've been really easy to work with, and
no, it's
pretty
a pleasure. It's a pleasure. So, I'm very happy to be here.
Good. So let's just how we kind of started with first time guests is give a little bit of background about yourself, how you got into crypto, stuff like that.
A background, yeah, sure. So I'm an old boy. I'm in my early 40s now. So when I came out of school, pretty much with no qualifications whatsoever, I find myself actually basically becoming a runner at life. I'm not too sure if you guys will actually know what life is. Life was basically the old trading floor in the city of London.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, so it was all open outcry trading.
Okay.
It actually stood for London International Financial Futures and Options Exchange. And it was a funny story. I was straight out of school, came out with no qualifications, always quite entrepreneurial, but didn't care too much for authority. So me and education didn't really get on too well. And I was actually working in retail, and a guy came in. He was like about to go on a holiday, and I basically gave him all the spiel, sold him a load of shit. And at the end of it, he was like, "This is like you shouldn't be working here. Like, give me a call." And gave me his card. Didn't have a clue what he did. Saw his name, saw his job title. I was like, "Okay, cool." Showed it to the manager in the store. He's like, "You've got to call him. Like, I don't want to lose you, but you've got to call this guy because he's work with him, you're going to make a lot of money. So next thing, that was me. I was there. I was learning shit, running basically. So I was going pit to pit, collecting tickets for the senior traders, taking them back when it was really prime, like really prehistoric in terms of the way that it works. You pick up tickets, take them back to a check-in desk.
Yeah.
And that was how trade was clarified. And yeah, so I was runner there nearly 2 years, and then passed my life, did my tests, got my license, was trading under him with obviously other people's money, which was quite interesting, quite good fun. And then did that for a couple of years, and then kind of next logical progression was to kind of get my own account up. And so that's what I did. I managed to borrow a bit of money, never a good idea, but it worked for me. And I was trading for myself after that, and made some good money for a few years. That worked out really well. And then basically the computers came in and the college grads came in, and they wanted to basically wipe the floor. I think, you know, overall it wasn't working anymore. And they wanted to computerize it all, put it behind desks and shit. And that wasn't really for me, because like I said, I didn't really have that kind of mindset to sit behind a desk all day.
Right.
And the opportunities kind of dried up as well. I think they were specifically trying to, you know, everyone involved in that scene at the time that was involved in the environment was of the similar background to myself. You know, we didn't really come from much of an educational background, but we all had a little something about us. We were aggressive, or, you know, we had a bit of forward thinking. So that was why it worked. When the new guys moved in, it was more about education and having that kind of discipline. Sure. So I came out of it. I'd done quite well. I was quite young still, obviously, but it was, you know, and I kind of dicking around for a few years, doing some investments here and there, small investments into property. And, you know, fast forward, a couple of guys that I knew said to me, there's a commercial property site, there's a nightclub available in central London, and would I be interested in investing in it with them? We did it. We took the site. We helped create a brand within the site. Worked out pretty well. I was like, you know what? We got something here. Maybe we should actually start padding this out. So we acquired another site. It was a restaurant. Another site was a bar. And I was like, right, we need to get more money in so that we can actually create a proper fund for commercial investment. And I happened to know somebody that was sitting on the board of a pretty big fund, international fund, and spoke to him and said to him, listen, like, do you want to get involved? Here are the numbers. We're doing pretty well. We're creating our own brands within these sites as well. So we're not only just taking the sites, we're operating them. And he was like, yeah, sure. So he came in, took a big stake. And the plan was always for an exit at some point afterwards, directly to him. They would acquire the portfolio. So we did that. We padded it out. I think we had, at the peak, we had about 11 different sites, 11 businesses operating. Yeah, then we basically got an exit after nearly 3.5 years. We had just under 4 years operating. We exited, and that was it. And then that was nearly 3 years ago now. So at that point, I was already exposed a little bit to Bitcoin. It's a funny story, actually. I remember, like, you guys know who Lily Allen is, right? She's quite okay. So I can't stand Lily Allen, right? So I was like, yeah, I was like on the metro one day, like the UK Underground, and I was reading this story about Lily Allen and how she was offered to do a gig like many years ago. And she was offered to be paid in Bitcoin. And she was offered like quite a substantial amount of Bitcoin to actually do this gig. I think it was like a good few hundred Bitcoin at the time. And she turned it down. She's like, oh, you know, what the fuck is this shit? I'm not going to do a gig for Bitcoin. So that's like another reason to hate her even more. And so that kind of sparked my interest. It's like, okay, you know what? I've heard about Bitcoin. Like, you know, I've heard it. People have talked about it. I've never really actually taken that much of an interest in it. But let me look into it a little bit more. And so I started doing a bit of research. And actually, it was actually the tech. I know you see a lot of that on Twitter, right? I'm here for the tech. But actually, it was the tech that kind of drew me in. And I was like, okay, this is quite interesting. So I started researching. obviously I had quite a bit of spare time on my hands at this point because we'd exited the fund. I mean, the guys had done, you know, pretty well from it, and so I was like, you know, what to do next? And yeah, I started, you know, making some small investments into Bitcoin, but more importantly, I started to I found out actually that a lot of people in my extended network were already exposed to, you know, crypto, Bitcoin, and in particular the technology itself, and didn't know that like one of my good friends, husband was a developer, blockchain developer. So I started hanging out with a lot of these people, getting educated, and kind of realized, oh, this is pretty cool. And, you know, then I started doing a bit of traveling and meeting more people with the specific aim of, you know, self-education, as you can kind of, you know, you want to pick up knowledge. And it kind of spiraled from there. And yeah, that's kind of the story really in a nutshell. I mean, there was a lot of late nights, a lot of debauchery in between all of that, as I'm sure you can probably imagine, but I'm not sure how family friendly this show is, so maybe we don't go down that road. But,
yeah,
you know,
we always gotta be a little
cautious. We'll do that the next one, but yeah, so that's kind of, that's it. That's the story.
You got one hell of like a background, like
it's
just very diverse in the investing world. Like I find like, you know, you got to trade in the pits and all of that, and you know, for me, this is nothing that I will really ever see or experience. So I'm curious, like, you know, and I think there's a lot of listeners that might not even have an idea what those pits are like. Maybe kind of like some flashback memories or something, just like how crazy they would get.
They were aggressive. That's the best way to describe it. There was a lot of aggression. You know, I regularly saw, we got a phrase in the UK, it's kicking off, and that's people basically about to fight. And that was kind of fairly regular. Like that shit happened. There wasn't many women working there, basically. And the women that did work there were very fucking aggressive. You know, that's like the simplest way of summing it up. Like I saw fighting. I mean, I actually saw like proper fights. A couple of times, you know, because it was very intense, you know, and you're trying to outshout the other person, and it's you know, the world that you see now is far more civilized to you know, in terms of trading, than, you know, to the, you know, you had to earn your money, right? To a degree, you had to earn your money, because it was a very much a dog eat dog environment. I mean, I loved it. It was fucking, it was great fun. Because I was young. Thought I was a fucking tough guy, and so, you know, for me it was great. But and you know, I did pretty well from it. I enjoyed it. You know, on good days it was good, and on bad days it was pretty shitty. But you know, thankfully I probably had more good days than bad, and the bad days weren't ever that bad. So, you know, I always enjoyed it. I was sad to leave, actually, to be honest with you. And I do look back at it with very fond memories, because I made some good friends, and like I said, it was a good environment.
A lot of people think trading is still like that too. They think it's still people yawn at each other in pits, and it's largely moved away from that. Like you said, the computers came in and really took over, and a lot of shops have reduced their trading desks a lot in the past like 5 years, just for the exact reason.
Big time. Yeah, I mean, it's just, I think, well, the thing is that there's more of reason for, you know, banks, prop desks to kind of go more automated anyway, right? So the need to facilitate those particular ways of operating are kind of slowly dying. You know, it's not as manual anymore. It doesn't need to be as manual anymore, really, does it? You know? Yeah,
and I mean, trading is so emotional too. It's like, as much as you can take that out of the equation, the better it is for the banks.
Yeah, for sure.
It's cheaper, for sure. You know,
so that's what I'm saying to you. There's less incentive. Yeah, there's less motivation. Like, the more automated it can become, you know, the better for the prop desks and the banks to actually not have to pay out the big salaries, like you said, and try and automate as much of it as possible. So yeah.
Was that the most enjoyable part of your finance career, the trading part, being in the pits, or what would you say was the most fulfilling for you?
It probably wasn't the most. I had a lot of fun, but it kind of suited the age and it suited the mentality at the time. So
I was
yeah, it
thinking
was
that.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
It's kind
But I
of like
mean,
a. It's like not that you're old at all, but it's like a fresh out of college, like I really want to prove myself, like screw the
yeah,
world kind of attitude job.
yeah, absolutely. No, I loved it because the thing is, it was like I said, I came out, came out of an education system that was pretty shit, and I didn't really come out with much. So to go into that environment, firstly to be in the financial district with like zero qualification, automatically made me feel like I had made it in some way. I mean, this is all born out of like pure ignorance and arrogance and just being a hothead.
Yeah.
But I kind of felt like I'd made it. And the funny thing is, I have an uncle who's actually a broker. He's been a broker, he's like 60 something now, and I think he's probably 70. He actually bought a massive bit of land in Phoenix, Arizona, and he kind of like goes between the UK and Phoenix all the time, and just hangs out and it's like farm that he built. And he made shit out of money. And I remember at the time he was working for the American banks in the city of London, and he was like, he did the whole degree and everything. And that was another thing, to be in that environment. And he's a bit of a dick as well. So to be in that environment, to be in that environment, but know that I got there like just using another saying that we use in the UK is like the gift of the gab, like the being able to talk basically, and talk your way into a situation and be good at talking your way out of situations as well. To know that I got there and he had to go through the whole rigmarole of like 4 years in university and everything to get to where he got to, that kind of also made me feel good. But yeah, doing the fund was fun. Like, I have to be honest with you, building the fund out was probably the most fulfilling thing.
Maybe go into a little bit about like, running a fund and kind of the stuff that goes with it, because again, something that none of us really know about. And I think it's a thing that a lot of listeners don't know about. There are some that do, but it's a kind of an area that is a little bit, hidden off to some people.
But yeah, I understand. I mean, look, the idea is to basically build a portfolio of some kind of asset or commodity, right? So, you're relying on bringing in client money to help you fulfill each endeavor and pad it out further. And you've always got one eye on an exit and where and when that exit will be. The great thing about, we were very fortunate because my contact, like I said, was already sitting on the board at director level for another fund, quite a big fund. So when his interest was piqued and they decided to get involved as like a partner with us, we knew at that point that we were going to have a good exit, provided we built the fund up to the level that we knew would make them interested in acquiring the portfolio as a whole. That we knew that would come at some point. 5 years was kind of the figure that we kind of put on it. We thought, and I had sort of off the record discussions with him and said, kind of this, we want to kind of be out after 5. So, we developed it, and we basically, like I said, we created, I guess it was a fund to begin with. It wasn't a fund, it was our own money, and we were leveraging off one business to the other in order to fund the next one. Okay. When we got the guys in from EHM, at that point it was, okay, let's like really start to pump this up now. Let's get some client money and let's actually put together a prospectus for the clients to actually look at and say, okay, these guys are actually building something out here. And that was kind of how it was. That was kind of how it worked.
How was it having to, go from, say, just dealing with your own money to now dealing with outside money?
Well, I mean, I've kind of done it. When I was trading, I've kind of done it the other way around, because I started doing it with client money, and then once I was sort of confident enough and felt I was good enough, then I started to use, get my own funds into it. So it's kind of the other way around doing it, but it's more, you've got one eye on the prize, right? So at the end of it, if you kick us in this particular endeavor, you're going to walk away, with a good amount of money, and you're going to sit back and go, there was an end game. There was, towards the back end of that whole period, I got married, and had kids, you know, I didn't see my wife, didn't see the kid. It was like full on work.
Yeah.
But it was always with that eye on, it was that motivation, it was that eye on, right, I'm going to get the fuck out of here, and I'm going to get the fuck out of here with a sack full of cash. Fingers crossed, all being well, God willing. And that was effectively what happened. So with regards to getting client money and dealing with their money, yeah, I mean, you feel responsible because you don't want to let them down. But at the same time, really, you're kind of selfishly thinking, I don't want to let myself down, right?
Yeah.
You know, because I'm not doing this for fun, and I'm missing out on a lot of shit in order to actually make this work.
Yeah. It is your life at that point.
Yeah, and it literally consumed me because, like, we were a small team, so like we were doing investor relations for it as well. A lot of the investment was coming in. We were having to meet the investors and you know, manage them effectively and, you know, massage them. So we, you know, there's a lot of traveling involved and stuff, and a lot of late nights, and obviously and the nature of the businesses as well, being commercial and being in what we call the on trade, which is, you know, restaurants, bars, and clubs. So there was a lot of late nights spent out as well because but again, it's like I probably didn't need to be out as much, really. Like, I probably just liked the idea of going out and hanging out in nightclubs, shit, which I know sounds really fucking bad, but like, it's the truth. If I'm being completely frank, it was quite cool. In, like, you know, my late 30s and like hanging out with, like, you know, a bunch of 23-year-old girls. Which is really cool. My wife won't listen. That's probably good that she doesn't, but yeah, it's so, you know, there was that part as well. But no, so yeah, client money, your own money in that situation, it wasn't really too big. I didn't really think of it too much in that way because I just my focus was always on the exit, and I knew irrespective of whose money we were doing it with, obviously we were invested into it ourselves, but you know, at the end of the day, there had to be that exit. That was what we were aiming for, so we were very driven to get there, you know.
Well, I don't know how much like flexibility you have with the fund, but in large part, usually you have to treat client money far different than you would treat your own because, I mean, the people who work in finance range in all age ranges, and your clients are going to have similar variances, you know. So an investment good for a 20-year-old is not great for a 70-year-old.
So our investors were, that's a very good point actually. Our investors were actually quite young, and it obviously, look, you ask most wealthy 20-year-olds, 25-year-olds, you know, what kind of, and I'm talking about the reprobate type of wealthy 25-year-olds, like, you know, what do you want to invest in? I want to invest in a nightclub.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of them have that mentality. I want to invest in a club. I want to invest in a strip club. And it's like that. So it was easy, you know, meeting Arab kids, Russian kids that had money. And it's very funny actually because a couple of the investors that we had, they were kind of micromanaged by their parents. So it was like their parents would give them $1 million, $2 million, and say to them, like, that's what you've got to play with to go and show me how you're going to make money. Literally, that was like the kind of conversation. Yeah, exactly, which is insane. So, and the funny thing about it is, like, you know, you could kind of see, you could walk away from these situations and you know, you start a club or something, and the club would be going well, and you know, you'd be spending 60K to get an artist to come down. You know, one of the US artists is in town, so guys, we used to pay out fees and let's get people like Migos down. This is like early days of like when Migos weren't really Migos at that time, but they're already kind of on the circuit. So we had guys in like that. These kids fucking loved it. Like, they were walking around saying, I own a fucking club, and I've got this one coming down tonight, and I've got that one coming down. They loved it. It was like an ego myself. Now their parents weren't particularly happy with it because you know, like, you know, we're paying $40,000 for Migos to come, for example, and the venue's turned over $25,000 on the night. So it's a loss leader, but we're doing it for PR, but they don't understand that. So the parents are like, what the fuck have you invested? You know, it's like, what are you doing? But these kids, you know, they fight, you know, and that's the important thing from our point of view. We were very fortunate because the environment that we were in was very attractive to younger investors. And that's kind of when I got involved with EHM, which was the fund that kind of took us, you know, took a larger stake in the fund and help fund us with investors their side, they were introducing us to a lot of these kids, saying, you know, this guy's, you know, parents own this land in Qatar, this one's from Russia, they've got gas pipelines, the family, and this one's from Nigeria, you know, they got oil money. And so it was easy to kind of manage those guys, but the parents were always the tricky ones.
Right.
You know?
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very interesting that this whole, like, you know, just go out there and see what you can do with it. I mean,
I wish.
No, like you'd be amazed. Like it's a different world.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a different world, I'd probably say, for the vast majority of people on the planet. You know, you meeting people like that and seeing the wealth a lot of the time, and seeing how much disregard, you know, young people have for money, really, because they've got so fucking much of it, because as a result of like family money or whatever, it's just insane. It's crazy. I mean, it's great for us, but I mean, to actually watch it, it's quite vulgar, you know. And that's one of the things. I was going to say, it's one of the things that, like, I'm not trying to sound like the dad, right? But like, you know, you being on, you know, seeing all the shit the last year or two, like, you know, when Lambo and this kind of shit on Twitter. I'm like, guys, like, you know, you haven't got you haven't, like, trust me, I've seen this shit, like, in the real, I've seen the Arab money, I've seen the Arab kids with money. It's nothing too exciting. It's nothing to be too proud of. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
the shine, the glitter fades.
Yeah, exactly. That's a very good way of looking at the shine, glitter fades. It's true. Yeah.
That's funny. So like, now you're involved in crypto, and you're on crypto Twitter and everything. So, you know, you get to be in this mix of a crowd that's full of, you know, some very intelligent folks, and then you get the young folks who are, you know, the young shitheads and all this. You know, now let's get your views on this. Like, what do you think of crypto and, you know, the crowd in it and all that stuff, like, coming from, you know, the traditional kind of background that you do?
Listen, first, I love inhabiting, being a part of the space. Like, I think the community is fucking great. Like, you know, and I've met some great people. You know, we were talking about before, like, I know Dale, like, Cred is like a good friend of mine, right? Crypto Cred he's a UK guy, London guy, and he's a good friend of mine. And you know, our paths would probably never have crossed because he's a lot younger than me. But had it not been for crypto, but like, now he's a good friend, and, you know, guys like Technical Anal, David Bell, you know, Trader Scarface, Traders. These are all guys that I've become friends with. We actually have like a little fraternity. It's like a UK fraternity. And we call ourselves, well, I didn't call it, these guys fucking called it, but I just roll with it. We're called the Barmy Army. It's kind of like, it's like a name that's taken from UK football, soccer, tribalism. So anyway, we have like a little fraternity of us, and, you know, we basically shit post each other on a daily, constant basis. And, you know, it's like, the community is great. I think the interaction, it's wild. It's like, it's when I first got involved, firstly, it's very tribal. I find it to be it's very tribal.
Extremely.
I mean, you guys know this better than anyone, right? So you've got, and a lot of people, as I'm sure it is not going to be too untoward to say, a lot of people are very disconnected from reality. Right? Oh yeah, very disconnected from reality. So you're going to meet some very clever, cool, calm heads, and then you're going to meet people who are just fucking crazy, right? And just like, you know, I love the space. Like with any environment, it's full of assholes and it's full of great people, and it's just, you've got to kind of weed out the two ends, you know.
If anybody ever doubts that shitheads comment, just make your way to any shitcoin Reddit and see how devoted to some of these pieces of crap that people are.
Like,
it is remarkable. And they all think they have the best community. They're all like, no community is stronger than us, right, guys? And everybody else goes in, yeah, exactly. It's like they all delude themselves into thinking they're worth anything.
It's crazy. Like Reddit, I tend to stay well away from Reddit.
Yeah.
Apart from to use it as like
I'm an addict.
material.
I love it.
See,
It infuriates me. But
if I go on Reddit, it's on the ETH trader, and it's really just because I'm looking for just something to laugh at. That's about it.
That's not a bad one though. I feel like there are some smart people on ETH trader.
Yeah, but for every one smart one, you got 20 idiots. So it's like,
that's where I go to 4chan.
I don't know if I would admit to that, Dale.
Yeah.
I've
Probably
literally
not
just
one
found
to be
out
too
about
proud of,
4chan
right?
Just a cesspool.
Bunch of degenerates.
It's true. I know it's very tribal, and you know the tribalism is kind of crazy. Yeah, but it's great. I really enjoy it. It's very different. It's kind of become like an amalgamation of like hobby, work, lifestyle. You know, the whole
Right?
it kind of it kind of in a good way, not in a bad. It kind of consumes you, right, to a degree. Like I find it kind of you know, like I've got interests now, so I've been working like very hard on a blockchain based product, which I'm going to roll out soon, which is going to be, you know, I'll be tweeting about and stuff. But it's actually it's a cool project. You know, it's like a banking platform, a proper a blockchain based banking platform. Which is going to cater for initially for the. I mean, you guys have got some dealing with the SEC and like US regulation is a fucking nightmare. Like I've spent so much time with lawyers, and I'm talking like the best lawyers in the UK the last 6 months or so, discussing regulatory framework for the US. And it's like when we launch this project, we're going to launch it in the UK and across Europe first, because it's just so much fucking easier to do so. Like I would love to get, and you know, I'd love to be able to offer, we will eventually offer it to the US market, but like to do that from the start, it's so difficult because you guys are just like the rules and regulations you guys have got there are insane. They're crazy.
Crazy.
Wild.
Yeah.
But so yeah, go on.
I was just say, there's so many examples of it. Just look at the accredited investor rule, you know, where you have to be already pretty wealthy to invest in some of the most promising companies.
Absolutely.
It's absurd.
And that's what's interesting, because I think, you know, I've often talked about this on Twitter, and it's funny because I get like mixed reactions, mixed engagement on it. It's this whole, you know, now we're moving away from utility tokens, right? Everyone's kind of realized that like utility tokens are basically a pile of shit a lot of the time. And that a lot of ICOs launched last year with a utility token that didn't actually really need a token. And most of those tokens probably aren't going to be worth much. And there's all these stories about all the money, you know, doing fucking show here, show there, and show everywhere, and then like not having any money left actually for development and stuff like that. You know, you read a lot of shit like that. Find a lot of shit like that on Reddit, actually, to be fair. So I don't know how accurate a lot of it, but you know, it's plausible, right? So now, and you know, Pomp's obviously, you know, sung about this, the high heavens, this whole security token thing, and you know, tokenizing security, blah, blah, and using that as a means of investment. However, you've got to be accredited, right, to get involved in that. So that's going to, you know, how do you engage the community? Now in the UK and Europe, actually, it's quite interesting because you can actually offer within your sale up to, I think it's like $8.5 million worth of tokens, security tokens, to unaccredited investors.
Oh, interesting.
Which is interesting, but obviously in the US, the minute you hit the US, it's like absolutely not. Everyone's got to be accredited. Yeah. So coming back, you know, it's a bit of a tie in there between rules and tokens and stuff themselves. But yeah, so I mean, like I said, yeah.
Do you mainly trade Bitcoin, or what? Do you trade alts?
So like last year I was trading alts quite a lot. Like it was, you know, because the market was pretty crazy. You know, there was a lot of action to be had, and if you weren't trading alts, you were kind of missing out really, because there was so much, you know, there was so much action to be had. This year's kind of really slowed down. When I do trade, and when I've had the time to trade, more so because I still enjoy it, I just haven't really had much time to do it. It's only been Bitcoin. as the most part of this year. Yeah, I literally wish I had enough time to actually sit down now and sit in front of the screen and actually, sit down and do some some good TA. That's why I kind of hang out with traders quite a lot. I think you guys know him. He's an unbelievable trader. His educational videos and stuff are great. I would suggest anyone that's kind of coming into the space, after you've done the whole free thing with Cred and you actually want to actually spend a bit of money and subscribe somewhere, he is a very, very good starting option because it gives you proper price action movement. And, for me, that's always been a style that I like to kind of follow. And yeah, so Bitcoin has been the main player for me this year. It's a shame, actually. I mean, it's not. I missed last year. I'm sure you guys are the same, right? Like we all missed last year. But,
it was fun. It was fun.
It was fun. I think. I don't know. Do you think we're going to get back there? Do you think we're going to get back somewhere close to there?
It wasn't just fun. It was empowering. Like Dale, you said something today, I think in one of our chats where you're like, or you said earlier this episode, where you were like, I woke up feeling like a boss for like a few months straight, every single day. And it's like, it affects everything. It affects your confidence, your sociability. Like, it's just remarkable how much that boost of waking up, refreshing your Blockfolio and being up 5% every single day and just be like, oh my God, I'm the man,
Yeah.
It definitely sucks not to have that. Yeah.
You guys are trading. You guys are trading now, right? You still trading? You trading all Bitcoin or what?
Mostly just Bitcoin, and then the Ethereum US dollar pair here and there.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm at the point where I'm trying to convince myself to trade less because I've been getting hammered on the way down.
Yeah. So, well, that's a good idea. I mean, that's kind of. I mean, mine was kind of because of time, but I consciously made that decision as well. As the year started to unfold and we got to like that midpoint, I was like, yeah, you know what, I'm just gonna trade a little bit less here. I'm gonna mainly look at Bitcoin, strictly Bitcoin, mainly, really, ideally, and that
smart to do that because like trading. It's mentally exhausting after a while.
Yeah.
And when the market turns to complete shit, why? If that's not your type of market, then why bother, just exhausting yourself for really nothing? It's not, it's not your bread and butter. So just chill out and wait until it is, but you get a lot of, just rush it and anything like that. Right. And even though it's not the right environment, and, but.
Totally agree.
Yeah. Totally
agree. Yeah.
Do you still trade like traditional equities and companies and things like that too?
So I mean, like, I've had a short open on Tesla for quite a while. Like I've had that open. I mean, but way before Rogan.
Elon Musk hates you.
He definitely probably does hate me. No, I again, like if I see things that I think, I messed about with Netflix earlier on in the year as well. I made some good moves on Netflix as well. So yeah, I mean, I went like, as I said, this has been really time consuming for me. Like I said, I'm working on this project. I've just become a mentor in residence for quite a large UK accelerator program, kind of helping startups with blockchain-based startups with their overall integration and their business management and stuff. So that's going to start taking up even more time at some point. I'm more often getting approached to kind of get involved. So like I said, I really don't have as much time as I used to do stuff like that. But I mean, like I said, I've got a short open on Tesla. I've slowly sort of worked leverage up on it a little bit, and Netflix I played around with earlier in the year. There was a little period where I was messing about with the dollar yen pair as well. So a bit of FX. I mean, as and when, if I have the time, I can sit down and do it. And then, I do like to do it because I enjoy it as well, right? You've got to enjoy it. I think that's the mistake a lot of people make. They get involved, they start trading, and it's like they don't really enjoy it, and which is why I often question like I know the motivation, people just want to make money, but you see a lot of the comments and stuff that go around on Twitter, especially in crypto Twitter, and you're like, why are you here? Like, why are you actually doing? Like, are you some sort of masochist that you want to like basically live a life where you're punishing yourself on a daily basis? And that always kind of strikes you. You know what I'm saying? It's like you read some of the comments, you see some things that people put up, and like you really can't be enjoying life. So what the fuck are you doing here? Like, you know?
Yeah.
So no, but I
it's just like constantly think like, well, I'm better. I'll be okay. I'll make it. You know?
Yeah, but yeah, I guess.
At a certain point, though, you have to realize like this is not going well. I'm losing money all day. But at the same time, I say that, and I've still been trading despite like getting crushed. So maybe I'm the idiot. I don't know.
But if you enjoy it, right? You still enjoy it, right? There is that enjoyment there.
Yeah.
It's like deep down. It's like, would I be doing something else? Do I think I'd be enjoying something else more? Probably not. So it's like.
Have you seen all these stories? Have you seen all these stories lately about people like killing themselves and shit?
Oh
that's wild.
I'm not okay. Not to be a cynic, right? But these things keep popping up on my feed, and I'm like, come on, like, this is like there's like a wave of suicides happening as a result of crypto. It's like, is this actually happening, or is this just like sensation? Is this like coming from Reddit and thought like
it's crazy, right? Because I think it's going on, and honestly, it's really sad, and it's just that consequence.
Terrible.
Kind of a lot of stupidity, really. Like taking out massive loans to all in crypto. It's like, come on, like this isn't, think a bit. That's not a good idea.
Yeah.
But
at the same time, like, I feel like it crossed a lot of people's mind when Bitcoin was at like 18, 19,000. They're like, why don't I just put this all on credit card? It's never going to go down. Like, I certainly had those thoughts, and like, it seems very stupid in hindsight, but
when in the moment, the heat of the moment of it. Yeah.
Emotions take hold of you very quickly, and sentiment can shift very quickly. But if you've been going through a bull market that's been lasting a year, it's like nothing phases you. It takes a little dip, and you're like, screw it, it's going back up. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, your confidence is super. I mean, it's the oldest saying, right? But like the emotional side of it is the hardest part to master, right? So. You can sit there and you can learn and be great at, looking at charts and drawing funny lines, etc. But if you don't know how to keep emotions in check, you're gonna fucking die. Like, it's simple as that. You're gonna get wrecked. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, it's the mental side of it is by far.
That's the hard.
Yeah, and you have to have a certain degree of confidence to be a good trader. You have to believe in yourself, and you have to think.
For sure. And Tom Dante.
Yeah.
He's like read his stuff about confidence and being in control of emotion and stuff. He nails it. He fucking nails it. When you read his shit and you hear him talk, he nails that side of it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Who was that?
Tom Dante.
Trader Dante.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
He's really good.
Follow.
Great insight.
Yeah, he's a great follower. I think he locked off his account because he
did.
number or something. He's like, I don't want any more followers because it's going to drive me fucking mad. So I'm going to just end it here. And that was it. He closed it, and I was like, okay, that's fine. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
So it's understandable after a while.
Yeah, I guess for sure. So yeah,
I just checked. I'm already following. Thank God.
Thank God.
I'm in the club.
Thank you're in the club. You're in the dancing club,
I think
right?
I was following him on my old account.
Oh,
you think he'd forgive me and follow?
You could try. I could reach out to him for you. We could try and make something happen.
It's very rare though. Like, I think everyone sees like a guy like him, and they're like, I can become a full-time trader and be good at it. And I think most people can't. I just think it's the sort of thing that's so difficult that
he does a good job too at like kind of making a point of that. Like, this isn't going to be a walk in the park kind of job. If you think it is, you're going to have a reality check pretty quick.
You're going to get wrecked real fast.
He makes a point of saying there's going to be a fuck ton of pain before there's any pleasure. Like, be prepared.
Yeah.
I'm reading the homepage of his educational material right now. The first thing is, welcome to the hardest game in the world. Leave all your dreams of making quick and easy money behind. The first aim is survival. Your absolute first goal is to learn how to stay in the game.
Yeah.
So true.
That's so true. But you see, the thing is, that's good. I like that. That's if you're gonna subscribe, you're gonna have to actually pay for something, right? You want to go somewhere where the guy is telling you that from the start. That's just
Tim Sykes shit. Fucking
yeah, like when you get a group, I'm going to make you like fuck tons of money, and you know, like that's not, you know, that should be a massive red flag right from the start. You know, like, but seeing the kind of the narrative that he's pushing out, you know, that anyone with half a brain would look at that and go, okay, this guy, this is kind of probably the guy that I want to be educated by, right?
Yeah.
Because the other guy is probably more a salesman than a trader. You know, he's the guy who's good at getting people into his page group.
Programs are. It's just marketing, right? And then they'll front run their group when they give them picks. Then
man, it's crazy. There's this guy actually, and quite a few of us actually just basically rip the shit out of him. But it's amazing how they survive. There's a guy on YouTube. I mean, he's on Instagram. He's like an Instagram trader, right? He's called FX Lifestyle.
Oh, I think I know of this.
Have you seen this? And Dante always pulls him up on it because it's quite funny. You know, you see him and he's like standing there with loads of like cash, and you know, he's got like a shitty Rolex on, and he's standing in a, you know, and it just everything. If you have half a brain, you can look at everything that's going on in each of his videos and stuff, and kind of realize very quickly that most of it is fake and it's made up.
Yeah.
But you know, you've got kids coming in and they think, oh, I want to become a trader, and it's like, oh, this guy looks quite.
They don't know the difference.
Yeah, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. And people come in. That's the problem. That is a problem, right? That's a problem. Yeah. And it's, you know, it's been around in like FX for a while, and it's kind of out there in crypto as well. Like traders posted something this evening. I saw some guy messaged him. It's like, oh, I know you've heard about groups and stuff. Like my group is the best. You know, if you get involved with it, you'll make like 1.5 Bitcoin. And he just replied, I think he just replied, fuck you, or something like that. Which was brilliant. But it was like, the shit's out there. Like people are, I mean, it's amazing, really. But people do get sucked in by that shit. People actually do get sucked in by that shit. You know?
I remember when I first wanted to, you know, get into the markets, and it was like pretty much walking right out of high school, and you know, I don't know the fucking difference, right? I'm just, you know, I'm new to it all. I'm fresh, but also you see these guys, you see the classic, the Tim Sykes stuff, and you think, oh, cool, they must know what they're doing. You know, so you know, the fresh people of the game, they don't know the difference.
Well, let's hang on a minute. Okay, so we're talking. Right, let's have some fun here. So we're talking about since we're on the subject of bullshit. Okay, so Christmas predictions for Bitcoin.
Oh God.
Okay, so yeah. So we had last year, beginning of this year, we had the following. Tom Lee called $11,500 by mid 2018. Cliff High called $13,000 by March 2018. Ronnie Mice called $20,000 at some point in 2018. Novogratz called 40K at some point in 2018. Your boy Tony Vase called 100K by the end of 2018.
Still possible.
It's been a few months there.
Holding out hope.
Yeah.
Come on, Danny, pump it. Let's go.
And McAfee called 1 million by the end of 2020. Definitely on course for that.
Right. And we all know what happens if it doesn't hit that.
I think.
He's
sharpening the knife.
He's a funny guy, man. That whole thing when he was like, "Oh, they keep trying to kill me."
Yeah.
And it's like he's kind of gone all Alex Jones. It's like, oh, there's like this big conspiracy to kill McAfee.
Yeah.
It's like there isn't, is there? Like you owe your dealer money or some shit. Like, and he wants his cash and he kicked your ass, and it's simple as that. Like this is bullshit, right? It's, and he's posting, and I actually said to somebody, I think he's using it as a way of like trying to get out of having to eat his dick.
Oh yeah, probably.
Like, I don't see that ever actually being gone through with. Like, I just don't. Like, he's
I think he
somehow
said
gonna
it,
get
and I
out of it.
think in order to not have egg on his face, he's now constructing this like
Yeah.
2 year life, like this 2 year like PR exercise
Yeah.
where he's like this hunted man, this like hunted white knight of crypto,
Yeah.
who's like constantly being
Yeah.
attacked, and there's like
I
a hit
can
out
see
on
that.
him.
Yeah.
You know what?
And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
2020 comes and he goes ghost. And
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
He goes, somebody's
Yeah,
trying to kill me.
exactly.
It's too bad that Bitcoin didn't have the price.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't eat my dick. I've got to go. That kind of thing. Like I'm convinced that's kind of what he's. I think that's what he's up to personally. I've actually said it. I called him out on it, but yeah, for sure. It's just Anyway, it's weird.
It's funny that, like, again, like, to those predictions, like, I think what we did an episode recently with Howard Linson, and he made the comment that he doesn't trust people who make price predictions like that, like the bold predictions stuff.
Yeah, I agree. It's good.
And yeah, like, you can't. Yeah, I can't disagree with it. It's like, it's pretty bang
And the thing is, you may be right on your prediction, but it's not some sort of inherent skill where you can call the next one. You know, it's really a large part luck. And people don't think that, though. You make one
like
good call,
more than a large part. It's like 99%.
Yes, exactly.
You know, you can. It's not. These predictions are just what. But this is what I mean. These are the guys that are kind of supposed to be like the people that everyone should be listening to a degree, right? You know, and it's like the bullshit starts at the top, right, and it filters its way down. And you've got to be very, very, very smart to navigate. I think personally, to navigate crypto Twitter, I think you've got to be very smart.
Well, you know what's something that's funny is, like, we all make fun of CNBC for being a counter indicator, but the thing is, anybody from like traditional finance knows that CNBC is a joke, and if you take investment advice from them, then you're doing yourself a disservice, because it's entertainment and it's supposed to make you feel certain emotions. They're not accurate necessarily, not at all, really.
Dude, there's guys on there with mullets. Like, you know, by default, if this is not like Comedy Central HD Part 2, like, I don't know what.
Was it, of course, Nigerian who has like a little like Jedi ponytail or something?
There's one, there was like one day, and one of the, I just remember, I think one day I switched on and I was watching it, and it was just on, and I was staring at it, and these two guys popped up, and I think he was one of them. And one of them had a mullet. One of them had a little Jedi ponytail. He had like, he was one of them was wearing cowboy boots with a chain attached to his trousers. And I was like, these are the guys that these are the guys that are dishing out market advice. These guys, these are the guys. Like, really? I mean, because you've got like, okay, so you've got like Ran Noinoya, is it Ran? And he does CNBC South Africa, CNBC South Africa.
He does.
And it's like, fuck me, this guy. Like, who is this guy, and how the fuck has he made his way on TV? Like, he is so foolish. I mean, this is okay. So, like, this. You see, this is the shit that makes me laugh, because I have fun with these guys. Because I call them out a lot, and then they block me. Like, I've called Pomp out. He's pretty, Pomp's pretty harmless. Like, I quite like him, but he does talk a lot of shit. And I just feel, when you've got that many followers, you have a responsibility to try and at least push out like some sense and sensibility, so that younger noobs that are coming into the market, they see what you say and they take it as gospel. And if you're shilling some shit, it's like, come on, man, you're not doing the market any favor, really. To a degree, but you know, he comes out with some bullshit randomly. He comes out with some real bullshit. And he's full of like I told you so.
If he's right, he's gonna let you know he was right, and if he was wrong,
for sure.
Simple error, whatever.
He came out, that's it. And he came out with this thing, and it's like, oh, you know, recently it's like, oh, I just spoke to this ICO that's like, they raised like 30 million less than a year ago, and they've run out of money. And I'm and he's like, I'm asking them, how did you do that? And they're going, oh, we went here and we did this. And I'm like, and at the end of it, he's like, I've got my head in my hands, or some bullshit like this. And I'm like, dude, you shilled ZCL, right? you hid the fact that you were involved, and now you're up on Twitter posting shit like this. I'm like, you're an asshole. And in all honesty, so this is okay. So this is another thing, right? This is another thing. Okay, so there's this whole like institutional money.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a buzz phrase, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Institutional money, and it started to rear its head like about a year ago when we were in the bull market. It's like, oh, all the institutional money's coming in because like we're flying now, and they're all going to take an interest. It kind of like gets used a lot. I find it gets used a lot. It's like, oh yeah, institutional money's coming.
Yeah.
But really, the irony in it is, people will say, oh, like crypto, Bitcoin, it's built to take us away from the banks, and it's built to take us away from like traditional. But then, like, the minute Bitcoin loses 10% in value, it's like, where are the institutional investors? It's like, all right, hang on a minute, hold on a minute. So the very people that you want to basically leave, you're now asking to come and save you.
Yeah.
Just crazy. Like, it's just that's the bad. Again, this is like kind of, it's entertaining for me, but this is the kind of bad side of crypto, right? Is that there's just a lot of contradiction. There's just a hell of a lot of contradiction. And that comes from, unfortunately, a lack of understanding of traditional financial markets.
Yeah, totally.
I find, you guys are smart, so you actually take the time to actually understand the environment, right? But a lot of people don't, and probably the vast majority don't. You know, I had a guy message me asking about. He actually thought. Well, I've had a few message me like this, but I actually ended up in a bit of a thing with him because I was like, "You're a fucking idiot. Go away. Like, go and get a job. Like, this is not for you." Because he actually thought that the utility tokens he bought during an ICO were shares in the company.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Like, that's like one of the classics I've seen. You'll see it in some random, community chat on Telegram or something for a coin. And they're all like, I have XXX amount of shares. And it's like, excuse me? You just call these shares? Like, sorry, man, I think you're in the wrong space.
Yeah. Incredible. Like, it's like literally, it's this is what I mean. And it's because there's a lot of people, like I said, that come into the space and they're not educated on what they're doing. And then the people they're looking for to guide them are sending out bullshit.
Yeah.
Like Ran and people of that ilk. They're just giving out a story that isn't the truth. But a lot of these news are just like, oh yeah, it's fucking great. Like, he's got 60,000 followers, so he must be telling the truth.
Yeah.
He must know what he's talking about. Like, no, dude, he probably fucking doesn't. It's a fucking high probability he definitely doesn't.
That's like the classic, and to listeners, just because they might have a just ridiculous amount of followers does not mean they actually know what they're doing. There's a lot of marketing that goes on, and usually that's just what it is marketing.
Well, look at Dale. I mean, he's got like 3,000 now, right?
I don't know how this guy has 3,000.
That's probably about 2,999.
Yeah.
What happened? Like, they banned you basically for like making a joke comment to like a friend of yours, right? That's basically what happened, right?
That is what happened.
How is it for you guys in the States? Like, because there's like this, I keep seeing this big, I'll tell you a funny story. So I've got a friend who's got like fairly conservative political views. And I'm saying conservative. I mean, he's not all right or anything like that. He's just got traditional conservative views, and he doesn't have a Twitter account. So anyway, he thought that he would create a Twitter account recently just so that he can follow certain news feeds of certain people. And he followed like 5-6 people, and instantly got suspended. And I was like, and he sent me, he's like, what does this mean? And I'm like, dude, you've been suspended for violating, because he said he's violated the terms and conditions of Twitter. And I was like, what did you do? And he's like, no, he's like, I followed Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens and Kanye West and like Donald Trump and like and then like they banned him. They suspended him. And I'm like, that's fucking crazy, right? That's like, because this is like, you know, when you think, okay, so they're busy banning shit like that, but like every ETH scam under it, and those guys are okay.
Exactly.
You'd think really,
See what I mean?
you know, yeah, you'd get control on at least this blatant garbage going on. Like, come on.
I mean, and that's the thing. Like this whole ETH scam shit. That like, it's kind of calmed down a lot now, right? But like when but it's still there. I mean, it's you know, I'm still seeing shit pop up on people's feeds and stuff. It's still there. It's like, so they have like some sort of an algo clearly that like if someone follows, I guess, people that have a certain political viewpoint, that they can instantly suspend them. But they can't stop the ETH scam bots. Really? Like, really? It took them that long? Really?
So, yeah, we could see where the priorities are from Jack.
Yeah, man. It's
coming after innocent guys like Dale and
like, Jack's going to be talking about Dale during the next earnings call. He's like, they're like, there was a decrease in engagement by 10%. He's like, well, we banned this guy Dale and
with that cryptocurrency crowd.
Yeah, that crypto lot, and this guy's like threatened to kill people.
That's what Sicarius keeps making fun of me, because he is always like, well, just remember, Dale, you do threaten people's lives. I'm like, come on.
Good old Dale, just a country boy.
Just a country boy.
Catch a lot of shit for it, but you know what? Screw everyone else.
Yeah, man. That's just the best.
Right, Danny?
Absolutely, man. Like it's like my favorite pastime now is like trying to trigger people on Twitter. I've actually it's great. It's amazing. It's great. I had to pull away from like any sort of political opinion because that was like crazy.
It gets nuts.
That's when it gets crazy. Like I had where my office is right in the centre of London, on Piccadilly, and when they did when Trump was here and they did the march, when I tell you, when I came out of my office door, it was in front of me. That's not an exaggeration. There were like 70,000 people in front of me, and I was like, irrespective of my own personal views, I was like, I was like, it's like Thursday. Like, why the fuck aren't these people at work? Like, don't any of the is this like some kind of like liberal thing? Like everyone has to be unemployed or something? Like, is this like the new thing that everyone who's like on the left is just generally unemployed?
I appreciate this because I have wondered this myself. It's like, how do people find so much time to protest? And it's like, these aren't weekend protests. These guys are going through the weekdays. It's like, what are you doing for money there? Like,
you're in Los Angeles, there's a Supreme store. If you guys know that brand, it's a clothing brand, it's super popular. And
they're queuing up, right? They're queuing up. Yeah.
And like, I've driven by, I'll have like a doctor's appointment during the week or something, where I'm driving by the store at like 9:30 a.m. or something. And it's just a line down the entire street. I'm like, you guys have nothing better to do than stand out lighting at close on like a Wednesday? I'm like, really? These are like kids. These are like adults. I'm like, yeah.
Boomers.
But this shit was going on. Boomers. This shit was going on. But don't forget, this shit was going on with ICOs, right? People were camping to participate in ICOs last year. That's how much of a change the market's had, right?
Yeah.
People were, because of the time zones. A lot of the ICOs were launching in China. There were Chinese ICOs and so everything was launching at funny different times. So like 4 a.m, people were getting up to invest into an ICO. And trying to get in on get in before someone else and using like a raffle system or whatever. It makes you wonder, like, what are people doing like at the other hours of the day? Are they just sleeping, or like are they just fucking around, or do they actually earn money outside? It's like. But that was the thing. Like, I came out of the office and I literally had 60,000 people in front of me.
That's
just congesting up. It was wild, congesting up the streets, and that was crazy in itself. And then the thing is, I took a picture of it and I posted it on Twitter, and I put, I was like, don't any of these people have fucking jobs? Right, because I was super pissed because I couldn't get anywhere. Like I couldn't, I wanted to go to the Italian over the road and get some lunch, and I couldn't cross the road because there were all these crazy people with like purple hair and shit screaming like KKK, Donald Trump is the KKK, and all bullshit. And I'm like, okay, don't any of you work. So I posted on Twitter. Like, I got so much fucking shit for posting that up. It's incredible.
You can't.
I triggered so many people. So many people were coming in.
That's funny.
Like, it's because of this and it's because of that. And like, do you support Donald Trump and his policies? And it was wild. Like, the only other thing that I posted that's had that much engagement was when I posted up that people that wear camouflage are cunts. That was a recent one.
Seeing that one.
Let's go into you, Dale. Wearing camouflage.
That was a recent one. I was like, anyone that wears camouflage who's not in the armed forces, who's not part of a militia, is basically a cunt. And like, it was funny because a lot of people found it really amusing, which is kind of what it was meant very tongue in cheek anyway, obviously. But like, it triggered so many people. Like people were coming on, like fashion warriors were coming on, going, "You don't fucking understand how to dress. That's why you're not wearing camo.
You don't understand camouflage, sir.
You don't understand camouflage." And I'm like, something so simplistic could piss so many people off. And after that, I actually thought this is quite good fun, actually. Like I might actually spend the time that I do have trolling. Like this would be quite a good endeavor for me to get, because like purely from an amusement point of view. And that's how me and Dale hit it off, coincidentally. It's our love of trolling.
People are gonna shit when they find out that I don't actually drink Busch Light.
He's lying, people. I've seen him.
That's like the number one thing that just triggers people. But like they're like, I hate you because you drink Busch Light. I'm like, well, thank you. That just means more beer for me to drink.
Yeah, exactly. That's more supply for me. You don't need to drink it, so fuck off.
That's right.
Love
well,
that.
Danny, I want to thank you. I think we need to wrap up here a little bit, but
guys, it's been a blast. Really
it
appreciate
was
you having
great
me.
Talks. It's really nice to hear from the other side. You know, the traditional markets and stuff like that, because we don't really hear that very often. And since Nomad won't come on. So
it was a pleasure. Actually, you know who there are a couple of good guys out there that you could get on if you want to go deeper into that.
We'll chat after this and
for sure.
Names, so
no, great. I really enjoyed it, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much, man.
Insight. We appreciate it. I know everyone else will love it. Thanks everyone for listening. Stay safe. Tip your waitress. Don't be a douche. Peace out.
And drink Busch, right?
Drink Busch. Hell yes.
Drink Busch. Take care.